Let's talk about the Miss Universe Philippines 2025 National Costume Competition. My name is Danny. Thank you for clicking on this episode. I hope that you enjoyed enough to subscribe or join memberships and even support the channel through hitting that super thanks. I greatly appreciate all of that support. So Miss Universe Philippines has just passed and I finally had enough time to sit down and watch the National Costume Competition, and I got so many requests for this episode, I didn't want to skip it this year. So let's talk about some of my favorites in no particular order. Batongas' costume is not as big as many of the others, but what really made me appreciate this one was not just seeing it on stage, but actually looking at the still images of this. Sometimes you have to look at both to be able to appreciate the national costume, and I feel like the intricate details of this was so beautiful. I also like that she has the headpiece going on, but that it was also removable because we are in a pageant, so I do still love to see beauty showcased. Los Baños is the enchantress of the Laguna Lake, and this was lovely. I really like all of the iridescent fabrics that were used in this. It made her look a little bit different. There was a mention of moonlit waters as well, and I could definitely see that in the way that the colors were expressed in this national costume. It was so pretty. I love the pieces on the side. It reminds me a lot of like a mermaid as well, the way that the headpiece was created. So it was beautiful, and it's making my favorites list. For me, Camarines Norte reminded me a lot of Sailor Moon when I was growing up, so I feel like this one, it just had a special place in my heart because of the nostalgic feel that it gave me. Lapu Lapu is this water creature, and I love the beauty of the fins here. There was so much attention to detail, the beautiful ombre like the fins of a betta fish. It was just so lovely. The headpiece, there's so many great costumes here. Kamigan was this erupting volcano, and what I really liked about this one is that the sleeves looked like the eruption that was coming out from the top of the volcano, and she looked really beautiful. I also like the really bright colors that were used in this national costume as well. There's so many different ways that you can go about a volcano-inspired national costume, and I just like that there was actually a lot of contrast in this one. Ampanga is this ocean goddess, and I really like the attention to detail here. This is supposed to be reminiscent, obviously, of the waves and the reefs and the sea foam, and there's just so much beauty in this national costume. I absolutely loved it. I'm a big fan of water anyways, so I feel like whenever I see nautical or ocean-themed types of national costumes, I'm really drawn to them. Bette is a costume of a white spirit deer. So this was really beautiful, I think, because of all the fabric that was wrapping around her. This is actually a theme I would say that we saw in a lot of the national costumes this year. It's just like something different that was happening in a way to create these beautiful pieces, these beautiful works of art, honestly. So this was lovely, and it's a pageant, so I love that a crown was worked into the headpiece. Naga City is a warrior priestess, but what was so cool, I think, were the double serpent structures that were coming in around her. I haven't seen something done quite in that way where it just framed her body above. So it was really beautiful. Lots of lovely colors here. The yellow, the reds, and the greens, they worked so well together. Baka City is this bird taking flight, and I thought that this was such a beautiful, beautiful national costume this year. It does remind me a lot of Shanice's national costume. She did a black bird with sort of the iridescent colors worked into it, and I thought that was so beautiful, so this does remind me of it. But one thing I really appreciate about this one specifically are the wings coming out of the bodice, so it's making it more 3D instead of 2D, and I think that is so cool. There are a lot of different ways to do a bird-inspired national costume, but I'm always looking for something that just takes it to another level, makes it a little bit different from all the rest. Iloco's national costume symbolized renewal and growth, and this was just so well done. First of all of the shades of green were so beautiful. I like that we got to see a lot of traditional Filipino weaving techniques used in this, and really like a true, I would say, Filipina national costume in terms of the shape and the design. But I also really like the details. I like the staff with the leaves. I like the headpiece with the grass, the patch of grass on top. It was just so beautiful. Baguio City was beautiful with this deer-inspired costume. We did see a few similar national costumes to this one, but just because there's a few that are similar does not mean that I want to exclude them from this episode. I still felt like this was a really cool interpretation of this mythical creature. And by the way, that is the theme of this year's national costume. So they had to create or represent figures from Filipino mythology, which was pretty cool. Iligan City was so beautiful. We saw all these incredible colors and another bird-themed costume, but something that struck me about this one that I was like, yes, and I appreciate this so much, is that the inside of the skirt was also lined with the feathers. And so many times, in order to cut costs, designers will not line the inside of a national costume. I mean, maybe they'll put a plain piece of fabric in there, but I love that they lined the inside. That was a huge detail for me. Ozami City, she's the goddess of rainbows, and we're seeing a lot of beautiful colors here. The flowers, I love this. I just feel like it's extra feminine, extra girly, and so that's definitely my kind of national costume. Davao was impressive, honestly, for the sheer size of this and also the attention to detail in it. She was showcasing the treasures of the deep. There were just so many fun details here, and I love the addition of the staff that was used with the bubbles. Cebu City is a spirit of fire, and I love that the fire was going around her entire national costume. That was really beautiful. Also, I don't know if you noticed, her skin looked like glass. It reminded me of the viral Pat McGrath makeup that made everybody on the runway look like a doll. This was so cool. I really liked it. I felt like it was just something that we haven't really seen before for a fire costume. Iloilo province, this was unique. So we've definitely seen structures used for national costumes, but one thing that I haven't seen, or at least I don't remember, but I feel like I would, is the use of invisible wire and then connecting to the skirt. So when she actually raised a piece, she was holding the skirt was raised as well. And that was so cool. And then there was a spin with it. I loved it. Tarlac is a serpent dragon, and there is a story about this dragon where the dragon eats the moon, and so you can see the moon in the dragon's mouth. I also really like that this national costume wrapped around her body, so we're seeing the tail of the dragon around her. The colors are beautiful, the details, the rhinestones, all of it. This one was a standout. Parañaque had another ocean type of themed national costume. This one was interesting and I thought really cool. She was actually surrounded by jellyfish. I really think that although they're quite dangerous in most cases, the tentacles of a jellyfish are they're so beautiful. They're so lovely to observe from afar. Manila's was so creative. Wow. The first thing I had noticed is when she pulled out the fans and she was using those and they were the flames. And then a moment later when they zoomed in, I noticed that there were actually flames all the way around her. A very great use of fans. Oh my gosh, now I'm like, somebody else is gonna pick up on this idea soon if they haven't already. This was brilliant, it was creative, it was eye-catching. San Fernando, Cebu, another sea goddess. Hers was a little bit different though because we didn't even see all of her face, but I actually thought that that was so beautiful, this face covering with the fringe. This was definitely more of like a bodysuit, really tight fitted national costume. I thought that the headpiece with all of the fish scales was incredible. The fish that she was able to also hold in her hand for this was really well done. But because she wasn't in a structure, she was also able to incorporate a lot of movement into this. Occidental Manduro, she kind of was rocking the bottom of her national costume that looked like an evening gown. There was just so much beauty in this national costume, and I think that's definitely a way that you can go. It's interesting, I would say overall this year when I looked at the national costumes, I've never noticed this before, but I think it was probably also due to the theme of mythical creatures. There were a lot that were so scary when I saw them. I was like, oh my goodness, are children okay in the audience? I feel like as a child, I would have been terrified by some of these national costumes. But then we see something like Occidental Manduro's costume, and it's just giving you something in contrast, which is really cool. Oriental Manduro, definitely leaning more to our scary side of national costumes this season. But this was incredible just because of the sheer size of it, the details within the skirt, the fabrics that were used there. I also like the other details of the overall national costume. So we see the birds at the top and then the heart in the thorns, just a smaller detail at a distance, but something really beautiful up close. Bosig was giving me just sensory overload. I love the colors here, the green and the pink, and then all the lilies all over her. She had some face painting going on. There was just so much rich detail in this national costume that it had to make my favorites list. Dumate City was this mythical city and this representation of a queen, and there was just so much attention to detail in this entire thing, and I really have a soft spot for all of the very intricate national costumes that honestly I know we can't even appreciate this far away. Like, I would love one day to be able to be up close to these national costumes. I love all the fringe details on this one especially, and then the beauty of all of the fringe pieces that were used on the skirt as well. I think Nueva Ecija was so unexpected with her choice of colors here, and I talk about this with national costumes. You can stand out for different things. You can stand out for creativity and novelty. You can stand out for color. You can stand out for structure. You can stand out for special effects. And in this case, I think she really stood out for the colors that were used and just the beauty of this national costume and all of the rhinestone details. She was lovely in this. Shergal's national costume might be one of the scariest this year in my opinion. She is a terrifying creature here, and the one thing that really struck me about this national costume was the use of the beads and the stoning as like blood kind of dripping and coming down. And I talked about this same detail for her evening gown at prelims, and I thought it was such a cool detail, and I was like, I wonder if that's supposed to look like dripping blood. And yeah, I think it is. I think it is, because we're seeing the same thing happen. Gino is a mountain deity, and I like the use of roots that were fully rhinestoned on this costume. I love the greenery that was coming out, the structure of this. It was so beautiful. It wasn't the biggest national costume, but there were so many wonderful elements of it that you could really appreciate. Somar Island was so cool. We saw another massive national costume here. Wonderful use of a wig and makeup. I really like when national costume gets its own day so that we can really get the full idea of what their national costume would look like, so that they have time to fully paint their faces or their body if they want to. I feel like it really just brings out so much more when it comes to national costume competitions. So this was excellent. Bulacan was one of my top picks for national costume this year. I love that she was this goddess of morning light. I really also appreciate the use of the hairpiece here, the wig going down to the floor. It just made everything so much more over the top, exaggerated, and frankly beautiful. I thought that she was stunning. Ifugao, I love this one. This is one of my top picks. There was so much attention to detail in this national costume, and I love that they went with the white body paint, the white contacts. It was so different and unique, and she did this on point. And then she gave us this incredible just port-de-bras back to the audience, and amazing feat of balance with that heavy national costume. Just so impressed by this, not only the national costume, but also the presentation of it. Those were my favorite national costumes of the group. Let me know in the comments which ones were yours, and let's remember to keep all of our comments really kind and positive. Thank you. Let me know what you want to see on the next episode, and I hope to see you there.